Well, hello, everyone. This is Shannan Vance-Ocampo. I use she and her pronouns, and I serve as the General Presbyter for the Presbytery of Southern New England. And this is connecting our conversations, our podcast space for conversations that push the edges of our faith and help us to deepen discipleship. And the Presbytery of Southern New England is a regional governing body in the Presbyterian Church, USA. So it's the second full week of July, and we are recording this podcast after the General Assembly, which is the every 2 years annual national meeting of the Presbyterian Church USA, where all sorts of things happen and get decided. And we wanted to interview and talk with the team from our presbytery, our commissioners who just got back from that General Assembly, the 227th, and hear some of their reflections and their thoughts, and also hear from our stated clerk, Kate Carlisle. So we have with us today ruling elder Rachelle Lee, who's a member at the Martin Luther King Community Presbyterian Church in Springfield, Massachusetts, and Kevin White, who is the pastor at Calvin Presbyterian Church in Cumberland, Rhode Island. Kate is joining us from Boston, Massachusetts, and our Young Adult Advisory Delegate, or YAD for short, Michael Ofori, is a member at First Presbyterian in Hartford, Connecticut. And Michael's going to join us in the second part of the podcast. So we'll definitely hear his reflections in the second half of our conversation. So we're just going to take some podcast time to talk about the General Assembly, what happened, what were the experiences, and what was the work you all were engaged in. So we're so glad to have all of you here to share with us. And so welcome Rachelle and Kevin and Kate, and we'll welcome Michael when he arrives. So I wanted to start with introductions and just give each of you a chance to introduce yourselves and say a little bit about who you are and why you wanted to go to the General Assembly in the role that you have as a commissioner or as a stated clerk, even though we're assigned to go, Kate and I, we still have reasons why we want to go, right, that are beyond the job that we have, right? So who would like to go first? Rachelle, I see you're unmuted.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Rachelle.
My name is Rachelle Lee. As Shannon said, and I don't know why my voice is cracking at this point, but I'll get through this. I served at GA as a ruling elder commissioner.
Mm.
I can honestly say I had no interest in going. When I was asked to go, the person called me. They said, "Would you be willing to represent the Presbytery of Southern New England at this year's General Assembly?" And I said,
Mm.
I'm going to have to pray about that. Give me about a week.
Mm.
So then a week and a half goes by and my phone rings. And it's the person. And like, well, and really immediately the Holy Spirit said, say yes.
Mm.
Hmm.
And so I said yes, uh, with some trepidation, but I knew it wasn't me. It was absolutely the Holy Spirit.
Mm.
And the rest is like kind of history. Um, I don't know if you want me to go further about like when I was assigned my committee.
Yeah, we'll do introductions and then we'll circle back to the
Okay.
committees for
All right.
sure. Yeah, because you had a very interesting committee, Rochelle. Kevin, why did you want to go?
Yeah, Kevin White, Shannon said, I'm the pastor at Calvin Presbyterian in Cumberland, Rhode Island. I also am the part-time Protestant chaplain at Bryant University, where I've been working on getting a chapter of UKirk started. So um, that's been going on for a little bit. But why did I want to go? So my answer is probably different than Rochelle's, and I'm a little embarrassed because my answer is far less spiritual than hers. She had a good spiritual and religious answer as to why she wanted to go. I think the main reason I wanted to go is I am just fascinated in kind of a nerdy, geeky way by like how organizations work. Like I'm one of those people that when I get a jury duty summons, my first thought
Oh,
is, "Oh, cool! I get to like be a part of the go, like be in the inner workings of this process." Um, so it'd been on my radar for a while. My family does an annual kind of family reunion vacation around the first week of July every year, and
Mm,
so past GAs, it overlapped too much, and so it just wasn't something I was able to do. But the calendar just worked out. So our vacation was the week after GA finished. So I actually contacted our nominating person at the Presbytery and was just like, "Hey, I know this is coming up. If you're, I'd be happy to go if the way be clear and all of that." So I'm
mm,
gonna trust, with a nod to Rochelle's reasoning, I'm gonna trust that the Holy Spirit works through even those means to get
mhm.
us where we're supposed to be. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always afraid to get a jury duty summons, Kevin, because my second call in ministry, the Episcopal priest in town ended up on a federal grand jury, and they
Hmm.
kept him for 3 months. They kept continuing him, and we just never we like didn't see him at our clergy lunches, and he just like disappeared, and it was very stressful for everybody. And so now I'm like, that just freaked me out.
Yeah, yeah. I was actually got called not too long ago, and I think the only reason I didn't get selected was the length of time. They thought it was going to be a long case, and like I'd already a funeral planned for like 2 weeks out
Yeah.
that I was doing, and so I was like, I couldn't do it. But
So you're like, nope,
yeah,
I'm out.
yeah.
So Kate, tell us about you. Why did you want to go to the assembly this year? What was drawing you to go?
Hi, everybody. I'm Kate Carlisle. My pronouns are they and them, and I serve as stated clerk here in PSNE and also our neighbor presbytery, Boston Presbytery, and also serve as one of the ministers on staff at a church in Boston. And I wanted to go to GA because I am just really enthusiastic about the Presbyterian process. A lot of what you said, Kevin, I'm the same way. I like the way big groups of people work. Um,
Mm,
like many folks who end up finding their way into work as stated clerks, I was, I've been a Book of Order enthusiast since a pretty young age, and I followed GA for years, even when I didn't have a role.
mm,
And while stated clerks and other presbytery leaders don't have an active role in the assembly, we are there in a support role and in, I think, the very important role of just witnessing what the assembly is doing,
mhm,
so that we can be in the room praying with and for the assembly, worshiping together, and then sharing some of what we've seen and helping explain stuff that happened there to the presbyteries back home. And I find myself really grateful for the way we work as a Presbyterian church.
yeah. It's every year I show up at that assembly and I'm like, I am honored to be here, right? Like it is an honor to be in the room. And um it takes a minute to just remember that the first day you walk in that room. Because time goes by, right, in between them, Kate, and you're sort of like you forget what that feels like when you first walk in. So um it remains that, I would say. So let's talk about the committees because I mean, boy, our commissioners got amazing assignments. And we don't have anything to do with it. Your names just go into we sort of call it the sorting hat, right, computer, and it just buzzes all your names around in some algorithm and tells you where you're going. But I definitely think, Rochelle, with you, the Holy Spirit showed up and put you in exactly the right committee. Because when you told me where you were assigned, I was like, oh my goodness, Rochelle has got the skill set for that, for what's going to be in front of that committee. So I don't know if Rochelle, you want to talk about your assignment and your committee. You had a lot of stuff in front of you.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm,
So, Kevin, I too am a policy wonk and a humanitarian. So that's why the Reformed Identity Around the World Committee was right in my wheelhouse. I was nervous when I saw the name of the committee,
mm,
and then I started reading. And I started thanking God, like, you put me exactly where I'm supposed to be. And
Mhm.
then after that first day of Zoom meetings, I literally got off and I was just thanking God. And I'm like, listen, this is it. This is my wheelhouse. This is absolutely for me.
Mhm.
Very, um, the overtures were pretty difficult. And we probably had about 11. And I'm going to read the stuff that we dealt with and then make some comments about the more difficult ones.
Yeah, please.
So it was a call to review the restructuring of PC USA World Mission,
Mhm.
calling for a new missiological, that's a mouthful, missiological statement for the PC USA on seeking God's peace through nuclear disarmament in the 21st century, on recognizing that Israel has violated the international law prohibiting genocide, peace and justice through just and peaceful means, overture, embargoing Israel, call Israel's war in Gaza genocide, concerning co-workers, on Jeju in Korea, advocacy for religious minorities in Syria from Racial Equity Advocacy Committee, on affirming Kairos Palestine 2, a moment of truth, faith in a time of genocide, reaching out in concern for the Presbyterian Reformed Church and people of Cuba.
Wow.
So, like I said, all of these overtures were
Mm.
difficult, but there were a couple that sparked more intense conversation.
Mm.
So,
And I want to say, Rochelle, some of those are such a privilege to get to work on too, right?
yes.
To be part of the solidarity for folks in some of these places. I'm
So,
thinking of the names you're reading out,
yes.
Gaza,
And so,
Syria,
like,
Cuba.
so for like, particularly the first overture with
Hmm.
the call for review and the restructuring of the world mission,
Hmm.
what I was thinking was how the administration dismissed hundreds of Black women
Hmm.
unceremoniously.
Hmm.
Um, and so I felt it a privilege to be able to advocate for people
Yes.
who were harmed and perceive the perceived harm and to be able to support them. That was really fulfilling to be able to like kind of advocate on their behalf, I guess.
Yes.
It sounded like the transition was not smooth and some people were um, silenced in a way. So that was a good one to be on and to be a part of. And then there was an interesting thing that happened with the language around genocide
Right.
and
Mm.
white nationalism. And
Hmm.
people wanted to soften the language.
Mm.
And I was so thankful that um, the people in PCUSA were not having it.
Right.
Um, and I'm usually a person that just sits and listens and waits for everything to happen. And then I wrap it all up. I didn't have to say anything in committee other than vote the right way because everybody was really looking at all of our issues through a humanitarian lens. And
Mm.
so it was uh, pretty intense. And then experiencing affected people in the Zooms and, why they were advocating for why they were advocating for these particular overtures and listening to their experiences.
Hmm.
And at GA, I was good. I was able to hold it together until the man from Palestine hit the floor. And
Hmm.
I couldn't stop the tears.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but no, it was really a worthwhile experience and very proud of my committee and the hard work that we were able to do.
Mm. You all did excellent work as a committee, I thought, Rochelle, dealing with incredibly challenging things and really some of the most painful things that were in front of us organizationally. And so I'm really grateful. I'm extremely grateful. And especially as someone who came off the board just before everybody got let go, right? The board was ended and um, the executive just director was dismissed, and then the stuff happened with the mission coworkers. And I had been working alongside them for so long and spent so much time with them internationally, and was not one of the people who lost my position, but it's been a lot. That's been a lot to hold on to emotionally over the last few years, and I'm looking forward to us continuing to look at it over the next few years. I think it's good and healthy to do that, even if it may be painful and some painful information might come out. The light is a good thing. So, um, and I
Happy
agree.
to
I thought,
serve, happy to serve, I tell you.
yeah, such a
It was an
privilege.
amazing, amazing experience.
Hmm.
And I was, every time I told people that I was going to GA, there literally was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be real hard. And I just, it was difficult emotionally at times.
Mm.
However, there were no decisions that were difficult to make. I would
Right.
say that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you felt that way and felt like the spirit was moving in both like you as an individual, but also in all of you as a collective, as a team, as you work together. And I'm very grateful that our former moderator, Fahad Abu Akel, got up on the floor and spoke his truth
Hmm.
as a child victim of genocide and war, and got up to speak at that important moment. Um, I was out in the hallway listening, and he walked out, and I had a chance to just greet him briefly. Um,
Hmm.
as he came out, and have talked to him many times, but had an opportunity to shake his hand and speak to him briefly and thank him. It's very hard to get up and tell your truth like that. And he's done it many times, but it doesn't make it any easier, of course, to do that. And he's a gift as a former moderator. So thank you, Rochelle. And also, I think, I wonder how you felt, Rochelle, about this, but I was noticing with your committee that juxtaposition about talking about the letting go of so many mission coworkers and the loss of those places of ministry and work, while at the
Hmm.
same time receiving overtures about like things actually happening that are so important, and sort of that juxtaposition of like we're walking away from some of these things, but things continue to be incredibly important. Like, how did that feel for you?
Okay, I'm not sure if I understand your
Like,
question.
you're letting go of some work, but it doesn't mean like there's not going to continue to be an incredible need for work in those places. Like that idea that we've left some of those spaces. And then that work was like in front of you in those overtures around Syria and Cuba and things like that. I just wondered if that was a lot to hold for all of you.
Um, Not really. I really have this um ability to like categorize and separate things out.
Mm,
And I think it's really from an experience of my former working life.
right.
I worked in the federal court system, so things are constantly moving. There's
Right.
this next thing, and then this thing is totally different, and you got this thing. So compartmentalization, and I think I'm using that word wrong.
Mm,
Compartmentalization for me is I can do that.
yeah.
Um, I just have always been good at like juggling
Right.
different things and not feeling that it wasn't complete. So I think if we move from one thing to another thing and it wasn't like really completely settled, I was I felt very good about, okay, this is the overture that we're going to put forward, and
Right.
it's good enough. So
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know if experienced any angst around like moving from one thing to the other.
That's good. That's good. Well, as soon as I saw your name assigned to that committee, I was like, oh, this is perfect.
No, you didn't, because you initially said
Well, I said it's going to
Kate
be
and
a
I. You
lot, but I
said Kate and
know,
I are gonna have we'll need to school you.
yeah, we'll need
And
to
then
check
I
in.
was like, and so that made me really nervous because I hadn't read anything
Yeah.
at that point. So
Oh,
I was
oh,
like,
oh.
oh my gosh, what have I got myself into?
But I was also thinking about all your professional history, Rochelle, and competencies, and that is like absolutely the capability, just what you were saying, to come into that committee and be able to deal with the busyness of the business in front of them and also the complexity of it, right? That you're used to doing that with the work experience you've had and the professional life you've had. So I was deeply grateful, so grateful,
Oh,
Rochelle.
I can tell you, you did make me nervous though when you
Oh, I'm
said,
so
oh,
sorry.
that's a hard one. But I hadn't read a word. So you said that's a hard one.
It is, yeah.
Kate and I are probably going to need to help you with it. And I was like, oh my gosh. But once I started reading, it was like, okay, nope, this is
Nope,
definitely my
nope. And then
wheelhouse.
it
But
was okay.
I can't say
Yep.
I wasn't nervous
Yeah.
initially.
Well, we probably worry too much. So I'm not going to worry anymore. That's what I learned at this General Assembly. So I want to welcome Michael Ofori, our Young Adult Advisory delegates, and Michael. We were just doing introductions, and Rochelle just shared about her committee assignment. But Michael, just tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll circle back to you about your committee.
Yeah. Hi guys. First of all, it's great to see all you lovely faces again. It's
Oh, good to
truly a
see you, Michael.
blessing. Yes. My name is Michael Forey. I was a young adult advisory delegate. And I was assigned to the Racial Justice Committee. And I do have to add that my committee was phenomenal in, presenting themselves and like just being open and like just being able
Mm,
to teach me the ways of the Presbyterian Church USA, and just being very welcoming. Our moderator was phenomenal. And our so is all like the whole team was just amazing.
mm,
And it was such an eye-opening experience to just be a part of GA, just to be a part of, making and amending laws and everything. It felt comforting as well because I during high school I was also part of the student council. I was a student council body president. And I also served as the senior board of education member
mm,
representative for the town of Newington. So it felt very comfortable for me, but it was just learning about the Presbyterian Church and the rules and everything that goes into it was really eye-opening and very inspiring. So yeah,
mm.
everything was great. Everything was great.
Oh,
Yeah.
we all loved hanging out with you, Michael. So big time.
Oh, likewise. It was amazing. Yes, 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 yes. Likewise. Yeah.
Yeah. So Kevin, tell us
Everything.
about you and your committee and what that was like, and then we'll circle back to some of the other stuff with Michael's work too. Go ahead.
Yeah, Michael, it's good to see you. Glad you're able
Yeah.
to jump on. Um, Yeah, I was on the Gender and Sexuality Justice Committee, which when I first got that, I was like, I wonder if this is going to be the one that brings a lot of heat, and because in the past there's certainly
Mhm.
been a lot. We had I think we had 10, maybe 11, 10 overtures. One got taken out of our committee and into the constitutional interpretation. And that was the one I was that was that overture about the new requirements that was poorly written, and we don't need to go into that, I guess, unless you want to. But that was the one
It
when I
was a
saw.
hot mess.
Yeah, yeah. And that was the one when I saw, I was like, oh, this is going to be the hot mess, and how's this going to be? And then it wasn't in our committee; it got pulled into the constitutional one. So,
Mhm.
um, I wasn't there, but yeah, we had some that turned out to be generate a lot of discussion, some disagreement. There's, in the committee certainly some disagreements on some of them. And then on the floor of GA, there were some that definitely, I think, elicited some very strong emotions. In some cases, probably rightly so. Um, yeah, just thinking about the experience on the committee, though, I think, like Rachelle was saying, my experience on the committee was really good. We had great moderators.
Yeah.
Um, and it was strange. It felt strange to say this, but uh, after all our work was done, like that, whenever that last day of our online Zoom committee meetings, and we'd finished everything we needed to do before the in-person GA, I had this feeling that I was like, I felt like I was a better person for having been a part of the discussions we had, like, which was kind of felt like a strained, oh, good. I'm seeing some people nodding. That makes me feel better. But kind of a strange feeling, but I was like, it was just, there was something about it. And there were moments at GA and at the in-person where I had a similar feeling. Um, but just, I think, uh, some of the conversations we had were deeply important, um, and really struck. I mean, it really strikes at the heart of like what it means to be human and to be who we are individually, who we are together, um, and to hear the conversations, even in the disagreement around when there was disagreement. It was just overall, it was in a very uh caring way. I felt like, I mean, there were some moments, we're all human. There were some moments, but um it- and I was just, some of the stories that some folks shared around when we were discussing some of the overtures that we had, I found myself just in awe of hearing the stories that people were sharing
Mhm.
around the issues. One of the overtures was on Gen O2 was on access to healthcare. So it was about declaring the PCUSA supports individuals to have access to all, I think the wording was medically necessary evidence-based gender affirming healthcare. Originally in that, there was a clause that said, if I remember right, like including minors. And so
Mhm.
we had discussion about that, and most of us, I think, were generally like, yeah, like this is really important. We want to say that. And it was actually, shout out to the Yads. Um, some of them on our committee shared, and some of them folks that I'm trying to think of how to share some of this without going betraying other people's stories, but um, raised concern, and some of them from a very personal, like, for
Mhm.
themselves, raised concern over not wanting that to be a lightning rod that caused further harm.
Mhm.
And uh, had some powerful stories to share around that. And so we had a discussion that, that it already said, support all individuals, and all means all. So, and that was a case of, um, I think what really struck me about that is the and this is the challenge of ministry, especially in these times, I think a lot. And I'm sure it's always been that case in one way or another, but it feels especially so now, of that balance of trying like coming up like really strong prophetic like versus is that going to cause further harm to the people that you are trying to be prophetic for? Um, and that was the discuss we had. I actually, when I saw that overture, I was like, oh, this is not going to be the one we spend a lot of time on. Um, but we did because that really was the discussion. And,
Mm,
um, and I don't know what the quote right or wrong answer to that was on that particular wording. I know where we landed, and we were all, that's where we landed by and large. I think it was almost a unanimous vote. I don't remember, but it was overwhelming. I don't know what the right or wrong thing is, but just engaging in those conversations um, was not easy, and it's not like you leave with this is always the right way to do it, and this is never, but just having that and remembering
mhm,
um, yeah, that there are like the reason you want to be your prophetic voice is to protect the vulnerable and to care for
mm,
the folks who need it. And there might be times when you want to be out there, especially me, like I'm a middle-aged cisgendered white guy, where I want to, if I want to be, but um, I'm also not the one that the heat is going to come down on in lots of those cases. And so that was just one of those things where it surprised me because I thought I read it and I was like, oh yeah, this will be this is we're not going to spend much time on this one. And we ended up just having some just really powerful conversations and kind of group discernment um, around that.
mm.
Uh, yeah, so I don't know. I mean, we could talk more about other lots of the other things we did.
Well, and I noticed too, Kevin, that there was a lot of faithfulness around that, first of all, I
Mhm.
thought. And um, when the moderator of your committee got to the plenary
Yeah,
floor to present your business,
yeah.
actually took time to pause before that one was up for vote to say a little bit of what you just said
Hmm.
and give a little insight into their deliberations and to also acknowledge the incredible contribution that the ads made to that conversation that helped
Yeah,
shift and change it and really put an emphasis on that all means all, right? And we don't
yeah,
need to say, like, carve out minors in a way that could potentially get weaponized against them in the
right,
context that we're in.
right.
And there was great intent behind it, but we're also wondering, like, how could this,
Yeah.
because things are so strange. So it was, I liked that she did that on the plenary floor too, was took what was clearly
Hmm.
this really intentional conversation. I saw some of it on the live stream, but carried it forward because also wanting the whole assembly to understand that as
Yeah,
they voted, which wasn't like in the written out stuff, even in the changes you were making, right? So giving some more insight. I thought that was really good that she did that. It was a woman that spoke, I believe, right? So,
yeah,
yes,
yeah. Olivia. Yeah.
forgetting her name, but
Um,
yeah. So I thought that was also really great because you all offered that gift to the whole assembly.
yeah. And that was, I mean, that was one of those cases where I walked when I said like you come away going like, wow, I feel like I'm a better person now.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um,
fantastic.
yeah.
So, Kate,
So
were there
yeah.
particular items of business you had your eye on or were watching that were of particular interest to you that you want to highlight? I know we're going to talk about some of those a little later, but anything. I mean, I'm sure you had things on your mind as you were coming in.
I think most of the ones that I was paying the most attention to have been discussed already.
Yeah.
The items around our various um, social witness positions and advocacy for justice here and around the world is it really I I think the other things that I had my eye on were on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, the kind of nuts and bolts sorts of things. Um on the Boston side of things, our trustees just last night was discussing the an authoritative interpretation on G40206B on the some of the clarifications uh, on wording, a proposed amendment to clarify wording around what kinds of like boundary training and
Mhm.
abuse prevention and other things like that that we're obligated to offer, just cleaning up some of the wording so that it's more clear
Yep.
what we're obligated to do and how.
Hmm.
And some of those things that answer questions that we have been asked just in the day-to-day running of the presbytery that will, absolutely never get attention in the press or on social media, but do make a difference in the life of the church.
Yes.
Um, and then the other thing I think I was paying a lot of attention to was the stuff around white Christian nationalism,
Right.
and
Yeah.
particularly the decision to send to the presbyteries an amendment that would put some really strong wording, that is, it's not new. It's very much of a piece of where our position has been for
Hmm.
years, but to clarify that wording,
Hmm.
to use specific language
Yep.
around white Christian nationalism,
Hmm.
and then to put some of this language into the Book of Order.
Right.
It's not a new idea, it's not a new position, but it is it's a different orientation to that position.
Yeah.
Um, and really, I think incorporates it into who we say we are as a church at a much more fundamental level. And so that was another thing I really was
Hmm.
um paying attention to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big one, and we're going to talk about that a lot this fall as we get ready to vote on it as a presbytery. It's a big one. It's incredibly important for so many reasons. Michael, tell us about racial justice, your committee, and excuse me, some of the business that was before you and what leapt out at you, and anything you want to tell about the work of your committee and team that you were on.
Yeah, so the Racial Justice Committee was I felt as though it would be um I actually didn't have an idea of
Hmm.
what the presbyteries like I ideals and ideas and their plan um was for the for racial justice within the presbytery, and how we are you like utilizing resources to then um lower the impact of what racism does within within our communities.
Yeah.
And so, going into it, I had no idea what I was gonna get from this, what was gonna be presented. And it was very like touching. It was very eye-opening, and it was really tremendously an amazing time getting to hear all these stories. And it was very I felt it was very heartwarming because you get to hear these heartbreaking stories from uh, other people that have gone through this. And it's a very touchy subject with some people, some individuals as well. And just hearing how the Presbytery is here for, those individuals, and, many other individuals beyond the Presbytery, was really just heartwarming. And it really made me feel good that, our voices are heard, and, we're also seen, that we could, fight racial inequality. And it was just amazing the way our committee came together to discern and put out just amazing work that goes towards making people feel more at home,
Mm.
you know, making people feel that they are heard and seen, not because of, where their ethnicity, where they come from. They feel at home because they have an amazing group of people from different that is very, diverse within the presbytery, and it's they have that family to hold them, in times of, um heartbreak and, sorrow. Um
Hmm.
our moderator was phenomenal, and our vice moderator was also, they handled themselves very, very well. I'm forgetting her last name, however, Reverend Pat, and she was just amazing. Um, I did think though she was gonna be a little on the stricter side, However, when she was just like, "All right, guys, let's do a little stretch break." She was leading us through
Hmm.
stretches, just thinking about us and like just wanting to have like, our minds fully there.
Yeah.
Really truly shows how much she cares about this work. So,
Hmm.
it was just great. And then meeting her in person at GA was even more incredible because not only did she light up when she saw me, but she opened her arms. She was like, "Give me a hug." Like we took a picture, and it was amazing. She brought our committee together.
Uh,
Sorry. Yeah, she brought our committee together, and it was a truly
hmm.
amazing experience with her.
Yeah.
Um, the other yads were also great. We now have, lifelong friendships from that committee. And I speaking about our committee and the yads, I just like Bruce Warner's Instagram post about GA and how much of an amazing experience he had. Um, and I really also want to commend Bruce because he spoke up a lot amongst the Yads for, just he was very, outgoing, and even within like the committee, he
Mm.
seemed a little bit on the shyer side. However, getting to GA and just seeing all of us, I feel made his voice, stronger, because he had that sense of family, which
Right.
I talked about earlier, which is just amazing to see, like people just come together and just express that, because we have their backs, they feel heard, they feel seen. So I truly do want to commend Bruce Warner for that. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, all the other yads coming together to discern with it, like even beyond my committee as well, was truly an amazing experience as well. Um, I thought, in this day and age, people, you know, I thought young adults actually are, less in less um in tune with what's going on. But however, they proved me wrong. They proved me so wrong, and I was
Yep.
like, wow, guys, this is amazing. This is truly an amazing experience that you guys are really like, you're keeping up with the times, you're keeping up, not just, on your phone, we're not just, Snapchatting, Instagramming. No, we're staying in tune with what people are dealing with in real
Yeah.
life, and it's truly amazing. I was like, wow, there's more people that are, just not
Hmm.
reading their phone, more
Hmm.
like adults, which is amazing and
Yep.
great. Um,
Michael, I
however,
did want to say this. Kevin, can't even count how many
I
times I
was
would
gonna
lean
say
over and
this.
say to him, "Boy, we are in good hands." I was a little
Uh-huh.
nervous.
Uh-huh.
uh,
I was gonna bring that
Every
up too.
time the Yaz spoke,
I
I'd lean
appreciate
over
that.
and say, "Kevin, I think we're in good
hmm
hands."
Yeah.
We would, yeah, and it would be after there'd be whatever, was being said on the floor, and
Absolutely.
and then one of the Yads would get up and say something, and Rochelle would just lean
Like
over to
mic
me
drop.
and be
Yep.
like, "Yep, yep, we're gonna be okay." Like it
Yep.
So
might be, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Yaz did
And we're
amazing.
including you in that, Michael, by the
Oh,
way.
I
Oh,
appreciate
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
Michael, you said to me, we were sitting together on Tuesday at the Synod lunch, and I was asking you, how's it going so far? And the first thing you said to me, Michael, I don't know if you remember, was that you felt so listened to in your committee, that you and the other Yads had a lot to say and a lot to offer, and you never felt like your voices were dismissed. Like you felt very included in your committee and you felt like you were having impact. And
Yeah,
I was so glad when you said that to me when we sat down to lunch and we're just chatting for a few minutes. That was fab. That I thought that was fabulous.
yeah, yeah, it was truly an amazing
Hmm.
experience, and it like I really do thank the PC USA for just making us feel heard and feel safe as well. And I really also want to say thank you guys as well because without my presbytery and you guys behind my back, I wouldn't feel that type of support, and you guys are always checking up on me, seeing how I'm doing, and just
Hmm.
making sure that I was good. And I really truly do appreciate each and every one of you. And
Oh,
I truly do thank you. I bless God. I thank God every day for blessing me and with you fabulous people. I really truly
mm.
I'm lost for words. Like, thank you.
Oh,
Truly.
Michael.
Thank you.
We're so glad you came. And I'm sorry again about what Colombia did to Ghana at the World Cup. I apologize on other
Now
adopted home.
that
But you know what? Switzerland fixed it
now
later
we can
and
leave.
Colombia got what it deserved, right? Like they got in trouble for it later. So I
Yeah.
apologize. So sorry,
Amen.
Michael. I
Sorry.
pre-apologize before the game. I apologize again after the game, like later.
Yeah, but it's yeah. Now we'll see where it goes, But yeah, I was watching the Columbia game as well, after, and you guys did amazing. It was truly amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, we had what my husband finally found his soccer shirt like 2 days ago and was wearing it. I'm like, it's over now. He's like, but I found it. I put it on. I was like, oh my
It's
gosh,
never too late.
it's never
Never
too
No,
too
late.
late.
no, no, no,
No.
no.
And we were chatting in church after about it on Sunday, and everybody's like, as long as Argentina, like everybody's like, so now we're all like united in our feelings about the villain, right? But it's just sports. It's just fun, right? So as we wrap up, what sorts of things like didn't we talk about that you want to put on the record or say something about or that was interesting to you or came up or even not like even business, but just like the assembly itself and all of that. Like anything else you want to share?
Yeah, I'll like most presbytery things, right? Like it's a small world, and so I was
Mm,
surprised at how many people I knew
mm,
there because partly it's there's just whoever happens to be commissioners from their presbytery wherever they are. There was a good handful of folks that from I was in seminary with that we were just walking and was like, hey, and
I
let's
remember
grab,
you.
and we grab dinner once
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I got to go on the Sunday we were there when we picked, the churches. There was a list of, goodness, I don't know, what was it, like 30 churches or something you could pick to go to. They had
Hmm.
shuttles to, and when I got that list, I was like, oh man, how do you pick? And so I just clicked on the website of a few of them. And I think the third one I clicked on, the pastor there was somebody I was in seminary with in Richmond, Virginia,
Oh, wow.
who was there. And it was a church that served as it was one of the last stops on the Underground Railroad before Canada. And so, and they're still involved in a lot of justice ministry. So I went there and
Mm,
there's still, like at that church down in the basement where part of it is now a fellowship hall and there's some things, but there's some
mm,
unrenovated sections that are still some of the like the tunnels in the places and the where folks who were making their way to enslaved folks who were making their way to Canada would hide out for a bit. So things like that. And just running into folks and I had a moment I alluded to this. This was part of that moment on the floor when there was just this. Somebody offered an amendment to something, and then somebody offered a tweaked language to that amendment, stuff like that. And there's the one side of you that kind of wants to hit your head against the table,
yeah.
like, okay, like let's. But I had a moment where I was like, oh, this is how. Even to the point of what Kate was talking about earlier about we're fine getting the language right because it
Hmm.
matters.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so even in that process, it's something you kind of do in session meetings, and sometimes it's
Hmm.
just like, can we just move on?
Hmm.
But seeing it on the big picture like that, I don't know, it was just one of those weird moments where you're oh, this is actually good. Like when we say we discern the leading of the Spirit better together.
Yeah,
This is like I did like in this is what we're talking about.
sure.
Is seeing
Yeah,
getting that stuff
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
Well, anything else anyone wants to put on the table?
So there were a couple of interesting things that I did.
Mm,
I went to a reception for the Reverend J. Oscar McClaw,
yes.
and they were celebrating him. He had written a book. He
Hmm.
also is a spry 90 years old.
Oh, yeah. He was handing me his book the night after at a thing. He was on
Unbelievable. And
it.
it just so happened that I went
Yeah.
to what was the name of the church that I went to? Um
He's amazing.
I
I'm
can't
so glad
remember.
he went.
It's a special worship service, and the Reverend Dr. Danny C. Murphy.
Hmm.
My gosh,
Yes, Danny's fabulous too.
that entire worship service was amazing.
Hmm.
And they fed us after. And then it turns out the Reverend McLeod and his wife sat at the same table with me. I
Wow.
was just like, wow.
Oh, yeah.
It was really something. It was really good. But I'm gonna end my comments with this. If I were writing in Matthew 25, this is what I would have um I think Jesus would have added something to it.
Mm,
So Jesus would say, when I was hungry, you did not feed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me nothing to drink.
right.
I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in. Naked, and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison, and you didn't visit me.
Hmm.
When I was attacked, you didn't defend me.
Right.
And
Mm.
that's just kind of
Yep.
encapsulates my entire experience with
Hmm.
respect to the General Assembly.
Yep.
That's it.
I agree. Thank you, Rochelle.
Yeah, I guess.
Michael.
Yeah. I want to end off saying, I truly am. I'm truly blessed to be in this position, and I also want to say, if anyone feels called or hears the calling to come do this good work, to do it, because then I'm sure, all the commissioners and everyone here got to learn a little bit more than what they
Hmm.
came into it, right? And so it's a very great learning opportunity, not for a young adult, but also as a commissioner as well, or staff or anyone that was also involved in GA. And especially as a do it. I was like, whoa, okay, I don't know if I want to do this, what I'm saying, a big hall with a lot of people, but already had the experience, and so I was more comfortable saying yes. And
Yeah.
I was even more comfortable when we were sitting in committees, the Zooms, and everyone was participating, and just calling on each other to just share their voice. My
Right.
committee was sharing each other's voices and asked us to share our voices, which was great. Um, and I also do want to say, I want to give a big thank you to Courtney and Claire. They were the coordinators as well
Right.
for the whole GA, and they did a phenomenal job handling some of the trickier conversations within the YADs as well. And that everything that they planned out, in the beginning of, GA was also a great,
Hmm.
tremendous experience to, get to learn everyone and like get to, interact with different people.
Yes.
I also want to say a big thank you to our GA moderators as well because
Mhm.
they have, opened my eyes up to, maybe maybe going into seminary, along my
Ah,
career. So, and
I
everyone
heard
here as
something
well.
about this last week about you, Michael.
Yeah, so I do want to thank everyone and the GA moderators as well, and you guys
Mhm.
as well, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have even put that thought in my mind. So thank you so much.
Fabulous.
Yes, yes.
Fabulous. Yeah.
So, oh,
Thank you so much, the three of you, for all of your work on, not just the Presbytery of Southern New England, but the denomination and a fabulous team. We've been so blessed with our commissioners, and we also had other folks from PSNE that were with us that were not commissioners, but at GA for other functions, right? So we had TJ DeMarco, who's pastor at Providence Presbyterian, but TJ is also acting stated clerk for the Synod and part-time stated clerk for Northern New England. So he was wearing like a couple hats at the assembly. New members, Clayton Thomas and Trisha Dillon Thomas, clergy couple, were both there in their roles with the investment loan program and the Omaha Presbyterian Foundation. Kirk Lewis was with us. Kirk's wife, Siobhan's a former moderator, former pastor at Providence, and Kirk is under care of our CPM, so still part of us. And also, Haley Shire was there. We didn't get to see her, but she's one of the staff that works with the advocacy committees that had such an important role at the assembly. And she works for the national office, but she lives in New Haven and goes to our church in New Haven. So Haley was there as well. It was hard to find her because she was like working the whole assembly, but she was there. So we had other adjacent PSNers with us, and that was really fabulous as well. And I'm glad we got almost all of us together for that group photo with the and I liked with the co-moderators that they made cutouts of them and put them on the wall because everybody wants a selfie with the moderator, and they were like, we can't accomplish it, so we're just gonna like go to, I think, like Office Depot or something and make these big selfies and put them on the wall. That was fabulous, and people were having so much fun. That's a great addition. We should do that with like our moderators of the Presbytery and just like, I think like randomly put their like big selfies in churches and people will be like, what's going on? I thought that was kind of fun. So I don't know if Jenny and Keith want that, but I think it's really fun. But
I don't think we should give them a choice. I think
yeah, we
that's
should
what
just
we're
do
doing.
it and
Yeah.
they'll just like find out later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or listen to the podcast. We'll see. This is
Yeah.
a test to see if they listen to
Yes,
the
that's
podcast,
right.
right? But it was a great team, and I'm just really everybody had such great roles at the assembly, and I was honored to be there to honor Diane Moffat, Reverend Dr. Diane Moffat, who
Yes.
um, did amazing work for this denomination, and
Mm,
I have all sorts of feelings about all of it, but I her work is its own body of work and stands the test of time, and we it's continuing. It is not erased in any way, shape, or form. And so that was a great night to have so many people around to celebrate
yeah.
Diane. And her family's just so incredibly gifted. So I've heard them sing before, but it's always like, whoa, when they sing. So it was fantastic. And we have two new co-moderators of the General Assembly. We didn't get a chance to talk about them, but I just
Yeah.
want to say for the record, Marta Pomeroy Cordero and Christopher, I'm going to mangle his last name, Schuldenmeyer, I think is how you say it, are the new co-moderators. And so we've changed up how we do that in the denomination. They used to get elected like day one and then have to moderate the whole assembly. And now they get elected on the last day, travel around, get to know the church, and then they moderate after they've kind of figured out some stuff. And I think that might actually be really good because I thought um, the co-moderators like really had like all the business under control coming into this one, whereas they do even when they were elected before because the staff is there helping them, but they'd like been living it for the last 2 years and working with so many of those teams and commissions as they brought their reports to the assembly. So General Assembly will be in 2 years' time, and we will be in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And so that's gonna be its own kind of fun. So, but I'm so grateful to all of you. Kate and I both so grateful for all of you being such fabulous commissioners representing the presbytery, representing yourselves, and being faithful to the call of the church. And I can't wait to see what the Holy Spirit's going to do with
Mm.
all the work of this assembly. We really moved a lot of balls down a lot of fields at this assembly, so it's exciting to see. So I just want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you for being part of the podcast, sharing your stories, and we'll definitely be doing some more of that in the fall at the Presbytery meeting. So thanks for being on, connecting our conversations.